Hey guys, welcome to, I wouldn't even say welcome, but it's an impromptu thing. I'm going to talk about this David Henderson case that's going on. Eric just got on, and I have Eric in standby, so I'm going to bring him on in a second. Eric just did a live stream getting an update from David on his situation. If you guys don't know what the situation is that David's divorced, has a couple kids. Son has cancer, is terminal, is in hospice right now, in hospice in mom's house, and has been fighting to even have the right to spend time with him. Actually, okay, I see Eric pop back. I'll bring you in, Eric. Hold on. Hey, Eric. How you doing, man?
Hey, man. I'm hanging in there, brother.
Dude, I just watched your live stream. I tried to drive as many people as I could to it so they could hear the story. I don't know if you heard me give kind of the quick down and dirty on it. Did I miss anything, or did you hear that, or did you get a chance to hear that? It looks like I just lost him.
Down. So, David's son, Corbin, when he was 11, was diagnosed with cancer. And there's been a contentious custody battle. He has another son with this person as well. He was told last week that his son has 2 to 4 weeks to live, that they've done everything that they can do. This was falling during mom's vacation time. So basically what they were trying to say is because it was falling under that vacation time, he wasn't going to see his son that he's been told has this little bit of time left. And it took a hearing going to a judge for him to be able to get some time. And through the past week, all that he was allowed was 2 15-minute FaceTime calls. We brought David on the show earlier this week. And then following that, there was an emergency hearing where they said the public presence had really been reaching out, wanting to know what's going on. And they did grant David 3 one-hour visitations in person. While that's a little bit better, I mean, let's be honest, it's not enough.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And so that was just for the interim. And so he went back to another hearing on Wednesday. They never made a ruling then. So today he didn't get to see his son. And then an hour before court was supposed to close, they came through with another order today. Man, I hope I got this right. There's so many details to it, so I hope I'm not messing this up. But I think he got knocked down to 2 one-hour visits now. I do know for a fact on Father's Day, they're going to be giving him a little bit more time. But it's not just that. A lot of his family is being held back from being able to see them. But not only that, his parents get to see him one time on Father's Day, and that's alongside of David to say their goodbyes. The sad part about this is Corbin doesn't know that he's passing away. He doesn't want to know. He had told him earlier, so it's going to be harder for them to say goodbye to somebody that doesn't know that this is what's about to happen. And the case is so screwed up, man. I mean, when you think you've heard it all, Duane, something comes by and just smacks you in the face.
I'll tell you, this has, of all the things we've discussed, this is the one that's probably getting to me more than anything else. And it's just, the John Mass thing is tragic, but to have somebody, and I talk to people a lot, and it's like, hey, there's time, right? Yeah, you're losing time, but there's time. In this scenario, there's no time left, and I think most people, when I was watching the comments on your live stream, there's a few people, and you tried to hit it. There's a few people who were like, well, this doesn't make sense. Why is he not being, there must be a reason. There must be a reason. And these fucking people don't understand that the goddamn family court system is so fucked up that you don't have to have a reason. If you just happen to manipulate the system enough to where they say, okay, this person has ultimate power and control, they can do whatever the hell they want. And so now this guy, and I'm amazed at how stoic this guy. I'll just pull it back up over here. I mean, on this interview you just had with him, I mean, the fact that this guy is basically talking. I mean, he did get choked up. I mean, how can he not? But I mean, he is not. He's very calm. He's very articulate. He's very deliberate in his words, and at the same time, he's talking about knowing that he's every second that goes by, he's missing an opportunity just to sit with his son, just to sit with him, not even say anything, just to sit in the fucking room with him. I mean, I heard him say, "Look, just switch custody to my house. I will let anybody come into my house. Her family, they can sleep in my, in my trailer in the driveway, or they can park an RV in the driveway. I will anyone they want to come in. I will not deny access." And fucking gets shot down, and and she still has ultimate fucking control. It's not right, man. It's not fucking right, and there's no way that this guy is going to get recourse within the next 2 fucking weeks to resolve it. I'm sorry, I'm guys, I know I normally don't go off like this, but this is bullshit.
Dude, everything you're saying right now is definitely what we've been saying behind the scenes. I know we try to keep it clean on the show, but it doesn't. This is fucked
up. And just to throw out there, this is not to try to galvanize people to make things worse. Because I understand. I think the undertone is this: so many people made a fuss and pushed too far, and if it goes too much farther, they're going to punish him for it even more. Is what it seemed like to me. It seemed like, so if anybody is thinking about doing something or saying something to the court system or to his ex-wife or whatever, they need to stand down, because there's not enough time to deal with this crap for him to actually be able to spend some time with his son. Am I correct, basically?
Oh, absolutely. You can have 1 million people out there as peaceful as they can be, singing Kumbaya, holding hands and everything, and then you get this one bad character that calls up the courts or says something stupid. That will be the poster child for everybody else. So you got to be really, really careful. And you got to understand the courts in Texas. I saw Caleb Leverett posting down here. Everybody probably knows about his particular case down there in Texas. But Texas has some of the worst cases, specifically in that area. I didn't know it until I was talking to the father earlier. He told me about the law firm that he went up against, prior to this. That's the same law firm that Jeff Younger had to go against. It's the same law firm that Robert Garza had to go against. And guys, when you hear some of the details of these cases that's going on, you got these viewers that will put in the questions. Well, why is he only getting FaceTime? Why is he not getting this? There's got to be something. There's got to be. They're trying to justify it. And so, guys, now you feel the problem of us. We're sitting here trying to make sense out of something that does not make sense. It makes no sense. It's about control, and it's about money. It's about politics. There is so much that runs deep when it comes to how this system operates and why this exists in the first place. I mean, for him to have to even wait a day and a half for a ruling, we're told 2 to 4 weeks. The first week was completely screwed away, man. I mean, like he completely lost that first week, and now we're going to wait a day and a half like you got all the time in the world. These judges have no heart, man. None.
Well, and the reality is, and I don't know if you guys said it on during the broadcast, but the reality is this shouldn't be happening. Mom should have said, "Hey, David, I fucking hate you, but you can come in, you can sit up in the corner, you can park your RV in our driveway, and we'll deal with the aftermath of this afterwards, but we need to focus on this." And that's not what's happening. I mean, so that's the problem is everyone thinks no human fucking being would do this to somebody and effectively do this to their own child on, there's no no one. There's got to be a reason. There has to be a reason, because there's no way that this would happen. And the thing, I mean, like the anonymous person that kept asking the question, just like, I don't get it. That doesn't make sense. You don't get FaceTime calls unless there's a reason. Yeah, well, let me ask you this, Eric, because I don't know if I didn't say that. I was trying to interact with that person in the comments, but let me ask this. My understanding is the way it sounded is the FaceTime calls were kind of like part of the original thing. Like, oh shoot, yeah, okay, kid's dying, going through this medical stuff. You know, dad can't really go over there, but we'll allow these FaceTime calls so he can have some interaction with his son. Right? Is that kind of what happened, or is there more? Am I missing that?
Yeah, well, the reason behind the FaceTime calls is because he wasn't going to get visitation because it was during her vacation time, her summer vacation time for custody.
Guys,
We're
do you
worried
fucking
about
do
who's
you
getting
believe
vacation.
that?
We're worried about who's getting vacation time when you're told a child is about to lose their life.
A month. He's got maybe 4 weeks, right? One to 4 weeks. I mean, he is terminal in hospice. They're basically making him comfortable until the clock runs out. I mean, and you know, and maybe, I mean, I had I guess technically it was nephew-in-law or whatever that got cancer and went quick. And I mean, there wasn't a lot of time, you know, I mean, this is,
no,
you know, I mean, this isn't, I mean, well, and let me, and guys, what was that? I'm sorry, Eric. What were you going to say?
I was going to say I had an aunt just a couple of months ago. They told her she had cancer. She was up. She was doing good. And then 1 week from the day that they told her her situation, she was gone. You know, and even though they say 2 to 4 weeks, you never know what could happen. And the fact that we're even, like you said, that you're having to go to a judge in the first place. That was one thing I definitely did want to, you know, really hound on with David was, did the family courts do anything to say you two need to work together or to try to decrease that conflict? No, it's still going through the family courts and the conflict is still there. I guarantee you a lot of this conflict wouldn't be as bad as it is right now had it not been the family courts leading up to this. We are talking about a situation right here that honestly parents need to get over themselves and just say, we're going to do what's in the best interest for the children. We know sometimes that's just not going to happen. And in this case, it seems like it's not happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think what's hard for people to fathom, and maybe this is what's getting me riled up, is you have a scenario where you know, I mean, it's like you would think, I mean, it's so weird, right? Because I mean, so many things happen and I'm like, yeah, okay, that doesn't surprise me. And realistically, this shouldn't surprise me. But in this scenario, you're talking about the final moments of your child to continue to play fucking games is it's unbelievable. It's unconscionable. I mean, it's just, I'm kind of beyond words. I mean, it just blows my effing mind.
I have sat here since I very first heard the story trying to make sense out of something that just doesn't make sense. And you know, these are so hard of stories to report on because it's,
yeah. Well, guys,
what do you say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, you know, when I saw Eric's post, I mean, I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook, and I saw you post something, and I read a little bit of it, and I mean, I'm like, can I call you? And I'm like, am I reading this right? Is this really happening? Yeah. You know, I mean, and I don't normally I try not to bug you because I know you're pretty busy, but I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, you know, and I mean, I'm gonna pull this back up. I mean, tremendous respect for David. You know, I mean, when he was like, don't do anything, don't send anything. The only thing I want is, could you send, you know, positive vibes and prayers and, you know, for Corbin. Corbin's his son. And, I mean, I hope if I am ever in that situation that I can show the stoicism that he is, because I guess really what can you do, right? Because he's probably got to be in ultra game face mode on, because anything he does is going to absolutely, or anything negative that he does will absolutely ensure that he will not see his son at all, you know, before anything happens.
Oh yeah. They only need, you know, one little thing to happen. So, and that's why he was so, I think, worried too about like people. Because, and let's be honest, Duane, people hear the stories like this. If you was going to get angry about something, this would be it. I mean, a lot of these people are rightfully angry, and they've just reached the point of where they don't feel like there's no hope and they lash out. And I understand how people are getting there, but you got to be very careful because they will twist any little thing. They need something right now to make that narrative look like it was for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. You know what, man? And I mean, and we've talked in the past. I mean, I'm not supposed to be doing any more lives. I pretty much signed off for the rest of the month. You know, I have my kids here. I'm getting ready to go on vacation. And I mean, this was like completely impromptu because I don't want to wait a week to talk about it. And I was just so flabbergasted by this, you know? And I listening to David when he was talking to you, just saying, you know, we have the emergency hearing, and I tried to say, look, just transfer him to my house. Just give me, you know, let me have him, and I will make sure that all family members can see him. And I think that's what he said. And they said either that's the next hearing coming up, or they said, no, we're not going to do that. Do you remember? And I get you. I mean, I am so frustrated by this. It's hard for me to keep the facts straight because I am incensed right now.
It's basically, no, that's not going to happen. And then, like I said, his parents get a few minutes there on Sunday to say goodbye to a child that doesn't know that what's going on. And then you got several other family members that are not being allowed access.
Well, I want to just mention this just real quick. So Caleb had written, you know, David is scared right now, and rightfully so, but his ex, the judge, and the law firm need to be publicly shamed. Not now. I would say, you know, once it's over, and, you know, then maybe there's a time to do some more activism. But right now the risk is they'll pull it to where he won't have any time with his son. That's what my fear is from listening to it, is that if the community pushes it too much, they're going to blame him, and they're going to say, you know, no, you know, your ex is getting death threats or what? No, I mean, so Caleb, I understand what you're saying, man, but not today, not in the next couple of weeks, because this guy needs to have as much time. I will say,
I did see some I saw like one or two nasty comments from people I've never seen before that were names that was not of a profile that instantly got blocked and deleted. And sometimes that just makes you think, like, who was that? You know what I mean? Man, we got to raise awareness about it. We're doing that. And I think if people hear the story and what's going on, in a way, what you're saying, Caleb, it does that. People pick up on it, you know?
Well, and the thing is as more people hear about this and it gets out there, I mean, see, this is the thing, is that what people don't understand is this is on the dark side of family court. This is normal. You know, I saw somebody on your stream say, you know, go watch Divorce Corp, and this type of stuff is highlighted in that documentary. And until
happens all the time,
it does.
Anybody reporting on it?
Yeah. Well, and it's
you off.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's man, I
can hear it in you, man. That's been my week. It's what do
I
you
bet.
do?
I mean,
you know, I got off the feed the other night and I spent like 4 or 5 hours just messaging media, because if this was Johnny Depp, Alec Baldwin, Brad Pitt, this would be on every channel probably in the world right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I just couldn't believe that there wasn't any media behind it. I had one reach back out that ended up calling David. But, I'm talking about all the national outlets, local outlets. Politics and gas is, I guess, more of an important conversation for them right now. And that's why it's so important for channels like yours and mine that are doing these things to get it out there, because we largely go unrepresented. And had David not had the platform to go on there and talk about this would have went on under the radar. It
Dude,
really
if
would
you
have,
wouldn't,
man.
I don't. Sorry, I'm having a hard time putting my words together. Had I not saw your coverage of it and your posts, I wouldn't have known. you know?
No.
And and part of the reason why I think I wanted to go ahead and do this, because, well, as like Eric and I have talked about in the past, I mean, a lot of times whenever if I bring something up on this channel, I want there to be some positive out of it or some decent takeaway, and not just, hey, this is, I mean, this is everyone's worst nightmare. I mean, this is the scenario that I think a lot of us fear in the back of our minds, that this type of situation would occur, and we would be in something as horrific as this. And it shouldn't be. I mean, the court system should immediately recognize this and said, worst case scenario, the child will be transferred into an inpatient hospice care immediately. And, you guys will have time slots during the day. But the problem is that in a scenario, whenever there is zero co-parenting and zero cooperation, then the court would almost have to turn around and say, okay, from, this day and this day, this is your block, this is your block, 1 hour here, 1 hour there, 1 hour here, 1 hour there, and the reality is that everyone, the parents are going to want to be in there on the final moment. And, you don't want to be in a scenario. But the reality is there'd be a scenario. And I know what would happen right now, because the blocks he has, if he happened to be there and, he's, the clock is ticking and maybe there's 5 minutes left, but of his clock, but only, 1 minute left of the visitation time. Well, your time's up. You have to leave. It's my time now. You have to leave now. It's like, how? And again, you could look around or you could think, well, who in their right mind would ever be that cruel? We're living the situation. It's.
Yep.
Dude, I could see you getting upset, when on your thing. You were having a hard time holding it together, and dude, you did better than I did. I'm venting right now. Maybe I shouldn't, but I want people to. No, I shared out your thing. When you went live, I went to my text group. I texted out saying you were live to try to just make sure as many people as possible could hear this story, because this is messed up.
We're going to be reporting on this, I guess until the end, man. It's just one of those that you want people to know what's going on, but I even sense with you, Duane, it is hard to find words to even speak about something as crazy as this. This is crazy.
I think it's one of those things where we would assume that in this scenario, someone would have some empathy and say, okay, this is crossing a line. I'm going to stop playing the games because this is too far. And the reality is this is showing the underbelly of how cruel a person can be. What Second Horizon says, controlling end of life is a power move, a punishment. Absolutely.
Yeah. How corrupt the courts are. How could a court make judgments like this? They're obviously not putting themselves inside this father's shoes.
No, they're completely detached from it. Caleb says, who would be that cruel? The mother, the law firm, and the judge. That's exactly who. And you would think that somebody along the line. If you guys saw, during the interview podcast that you just finished with him, he was talking about, people he was talking to were breaking down in tears hearing about this. Basically, I think they were all shocked at how can this be happening? How can this scenario, how can somebody be that freaking cruel? And the reality is this is an example. This is the worst case scenario where we're getting to see, real time exactly how cruel somebody can be.
I think one of the court reporters was admonished, for crying.
Admonished for it? What do you mean by the judge basically said,
yeah, stop it. Yeah, stop it. Basically. For crying. There were several people that were breaking down during that case. And I had people telling me they had to leave the feed earlier, in which I'll be honest with you, I completely understand. I told my wife earlier, I think I was talking to one of my friends too. It's like, man, it's how do you get out of the darkness of something like this? Because we got to do it. I mean, we've got to make sure that we're bringing stuff like this to light. But man, like you're talking about evil that you can't even fathom. I mean, I know a couple of weeks ago we was talking about the Amber Heard situation. This is beyond Amber Heard.
This is beyond Amber Heard.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, because the problem with this is it's the time. It's the you know, the clock's running out. You know, I mean, there is no time. There is no, you know, I mean, normally in family court, I mean, we all know, you know, it takes, you know, people, you know, maybe 3 or 4 years, somebody will prevail. Hope, you know, a lot of times sooner, but we don't have that. This guy doesn't have that kind of time. He doesn't have time to play games and have a hearing and have a follow-up hearing and then let's do some discovery and let's give the parents an opportunity to see if they can work together before we, you know, force an issue. I mean, there's no time, you know? I mean, and
yeah.
I got to give credit for him not saying anything. I mean, like somebody asked, I mean, so his, you know, the son, Corbin, doesn't know, you know, doesn't officially know what's going on. I mean, like I heard him say, he's like, well, he thought, you know, I mean, he should be coming after the 2-week vacation, quote unquote. It's now dad's time. So why am I not going to my dad's? Why I should be going to my dad's? Why, you know, I'm sick. I'm always sick. You know, I mean, it is part of the thing, you know, so I get to go see my dad. I mean, it's horrible, you know, and I get what he's at because he can't say anything. I mean, he can't, you know, I mean, and he probably doesn't want to make his kid uncomfortable, but at the same time, he doesn't want to just say, okay, well, I'm not going to rock the boat because he doesn't want his son to be like, well, where's dad? You know, I'm not doing well and I want to see my dad, you know? I mean, the kid probably knows that if dad's been in mom's house with how contentious it is, that something is probably up, right? I mean,
I'm sure he can sense it. And I'm sure, you know, he knows that there's something going on, for sure. And I think, you know, just the fact of you're telling people they got to go say their goodbyes and he doesn't even know when they could just go over there and be spending time.
See, and that's the thing, right? I mean, because if, you know, because like you said, I mean, you don't want to sit there and say that. So, I mean, if the grandparents who only got to see him for that, in that 90-minute block that happened, is that what's coming up, or is that what did the grandparents, they already had that time, right? That only time they're ever going to get.
Father's Day. Yeah, it happened on Father's Day.
So on Father's Day, the only people on his family, besides his other son, who's the kid's brother, that legally is allowed to enter that fucking house is the grandparents, only because it got written specifically. And I'm sorry, I don't mean Am I right though? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull it back together.
Dude. No, I get it. I think his girlfriend will get an hour, and I think the courts brought that up. Just like, you know, I mean, from what my understanding is, like, you know, we can't give her more time than this person or this person. It is like, I mean, he made a very valid excuse. He's like, well, the stepdad's getting to spend all day with him. So, I mean, imagine being a father that's only getting this little bit of time, knowing that there's another man in there that's getting to spend every bit of that time that should be yours. I'd have a lot of bitterness in my heart right now.
That's William says, there's no quote on undoing this. There's no take backs or redos. And he says, is there a resolve at this point? No. It's making its way through the court system. He has some time. I thought he said something about a court order saying that he gets 2 hours every day, and then on every 5th day he can't go over there at all, or some weirdness like that. But I mean,
it's 2 1-hour visits, and I think every so many days he has to go a day without. Yeah,
you know, and the thing is like, I mean, see, the problem with this is that this shouldn't be a situation, right? I mean, him and the mom should be talking and saying, you know, hey, you know, David, you know, you need to get over here. You need to, this thing's whatever. I mean, it's just, this is on, this is, I get it's uncomfortable, right? I mean, I understand. I mean, hey, they hate, she hates him, hates everything about him, trying to alienate him. I mean, to be perfectly honest, if the scenario was switched, I wouldn't be overly thrilled about having my ex be in my house. But if that was a scenario and that was a situation, I'm not going to say no. How do you fucking say no? I mean, how do you how can you do that and then turn around and not feel, and look yourself in the mirror, which I get it, right? People that are like this, I mean, that's what they do, right? They have no empathy. They're only focused on themselves. Don't really care about anybody other than their version of reality. It's just,
Man.
I'm at a loss. When is he coming back on? When are you going to, I'm assuming you're talking to him offline quite a bit, right?
Yeah. I think it's one of those that we just kind of got to wait and see how everything develops. I mean, now that ruling's been put down, I'm sure he's going to try to get active, to get some type of relief somehow. But we'll just have to wait and see how this plays out, man. It doesn't sound like anything he's doing seems to go in his, it doesn't seem to be going in his favor. And then, once it gets to that point, I don't know how this is going to play out. If the child's going to realize like he's there, or I don't know, man. I mean, I think every second of the day he should have both of his parents if that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
I'm in the same lane as you with that, Duane. I could care less to ever look at my exes again.
Yeah.
But if that was the case, and many times I go and I talk with them when it's necessary, I'd rather do many other things, but I would do what I need to do for my kids, man. I mean, that's it. You can get over yourself enough, to do this for your kids, and to hold him back at any point in time. I honestly believe there's a way to say we're going to come together and do this. You don't have to have third party strangers in there dictating you. You can go sit in front of people you don't know to make decisions for your life, but you can't have somebody that you made a child with in there long enough to spend time with his flesh and blood.
I had a scenario early on in my situation where, it was vacation time. Actually, it was vacation time with the kids. We were up in Northern California at my mom's, and my son had a medical emergency. We ended up in the hospital. He ended up having surgery. And I mean, even though the last person in the world I wanted to talk to, I'm like, I absolutely called her, said, this is a scenario. This is what's going on, and I'm like, I fully expected her to show up. Now, did I have to do that? No, I could have not told her. I could have just, well, it's my time. Don't have to tell you, and I just, it's these people, they people who fall in that category, basically that cluster B of the DSM-5, narcissism, borderline, histrionic, and psychopathy, if I remember correctly. This is a pattern of behavior that they do, right? This is what we're seeing right now in this story is exactly what's playing out every day, but just on a smaller scale. I think most people, it's like, oh, well, it's Father's Day, but the court order says it's my time. So you don't, you'll just have to do Father's Day some other day, or it's your birthday. Well, it's not my, whatever. I mean, it's just this, it's like the court, they use that piece of paper to punish, like someone else said, punish the other person, I mean, it's just amazing. It's horrific is what it is.
Well, I don't know which one's the worst, the personality disorder or the courts, because the courts in many ways are the ones that gave them that type of power. And they know they have it. They know they have the control. And if you're a father in that system, dude, they don't listen. And I'm going to tell you, and I know this happens to women too, and I know you have them on your channel, so in no way am I trying to, put that down. Texas is one of the worst states for fathers. The
Yeah.
national average of fathers that end up without custody of their children that do fight in court is 82.5%. I think it's around 92% in Texas. They get their butts handed to them.
I don't know anybody in Texas who I've ever, personally, even through the channel or whatever, that's had a good outcome in Texas with a high conflict divorce. If that's the case, or even our friend John Steinbeck. You rattle off a couple of, but he's in Texas and he got torpedoed. Fought, tried everything, and they said, yeah, no. And it's talking about this stupid stuff. John Steinbeck, if you guys don't, I've done interviews. Eric and I have both done collaborations with him. He's a pilot, has a really weird schedule, and he went back to court to say, look, can I just have the custody arranged that when I'm in town that I can see my son? No. The court order says you get these days. If you're working, you lose those days. There's no makeup days. There's no other time. You will exercise your custody visitation on these days. And if you can't do it, then you just miss out on it. You are not going to, inconvenience mommy with a sporadic schedule. And it's like people don't believe that stuff would happen. And it happens all the freaking time.
Oh, purposefully too. So I've talked to several different pilots that have been through this issue, and they'll know when that pilot's on work. So they'll come up with like an agreement to make sure like dad's going to get the kids on the day that they know he's going to be at work, because they know he's going to come back and say, I can't do it on that day. They don't care if you say it's because of work or well, you can't do this. Then it just gives them even more justification to, just kind of modify that order. It's trash, man.
No, I had a friend of mine I went to high school with. So, I'm 51 years old. So we're talking, a long time ago. And he was in the Coast Guard in California. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. But no, same thing happened. What they did is they found out when he was working, and they specifically said, okay, well, you can have these visitation times and hours. Well, I can't do it. Well, those are your times. You better figure it out, so then it gets, well, hey, DFW Drain says he won in Texas. Well, that's good. Then you'd be the first person. Hey man, send me an email about that. I'd like to hear more about that. My email's in the description below.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Seeing that name, I think that means Dallas Fort Worth.
That's what I'm thinking. He says, I was a filmmaker media back in the day. I remember him being on the channel. It's always when people change names, it's hard for me to keep track of who's who anyways, with the amount of people that are there. But when people change their names online, it makes it even harder.
Oh yeah.
Man, so what's your plan going forward with this? I know you're trying to cover it. It sounds like you've done, so it seems like all the back end stuff to try to get some awareness is only one media organization reached out to him.
So the news, is a whole other animal, similar to the family courts. If I could have got it on one, everybody would have started reaching out at that point. And I know that's usually how the media happen. The Brian Adams story that I had where the child was blown up in the hotel where his mom was making drugs and everything. He couldn't get media anywhere. We tried and tried and tried. And finally we started pushing with Dad Talk. One media outlet finally reported on it. And the next week, like every media in that area started covering it. And I knew that if one could get a hold of this, that it would take off. Because I'll be honest with you, this as well as I do, Duane. YouTube, Facebook, we got a decent following or whatever, but they only show it to a very small fraction of your people because they want you to boost it, and that's the way these things go. So I really wanted to get some help with this case and some media in that area to get that, that really good public pressure on it. And with their lack of involvement, I think that's part of the reality that sunk in, that, it's up to us now. And I'm going to continue to reach out. I hopefully,
maybe, I know Jeff Younger's ultimately didn't prevail in his scenario, but I remember when that first came up, it was the politicians that, oh crap. I can't remember the name of the senator from Texas. Ran for
Ted
president.
Cruz.
Ted Cruz, yeah. I mean, Ted Cruz got involved. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Is someone needs to, somehow get a hold, get in their ear so that they take a cause of it. Because this is, I mean, the reality of this is if David could get a few months of sanity in this, then this scenario, I mean, there won't be an issue after that, right? I mean, I know, God, man, this is so frustrating.
Well, even in Younger's case, so I don't know how familiar you are with that, but at the time they was wanting to castrate his son,
Yeah.
Ted Cruz stepped in, and they gave custody back to Jeff at this point in time.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't take no time for them to get a new court case and completely overrule, and they gave custody back to mom. And when he went to court and said, "Hey, I just don't want this happening to my child," they took custody away from him altogether. So Jeff has no custody at all now, and his case was worldwide. That was a huge case. Those type of cases, I think you're going to start seeing more and more.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, but it's
even
just,
with
and the thing is with that is it fell through the cracks, right? I mean, there was that initial push, people paid attention,
Yep.
he got some relief, and then once it all quieted down, anyways, I'm just thinking that maybe if some politicians got involved, maybe that could, at least in that time before they could undo it, he would be able to have that access, and his family would be able to have the access. Well, everyone would, I mean, so from what David was saying, it's like even his son's Corbin's friends, because the friends are on dad's side, they can't come see him. It's like anything to do with dad is not allowed. You can see all the cousins, all the family, all their friends, all your school friends that are friend with mommy, but not with, anything. I mean, it's just so cruel. I mean, it's just so amazing that this shit is that it's happening. I mean, it's amazing.
Texas, I'm afraid, is about to get worse.
Why do you say
were
that?
some really good people. There was some good people in office last year, but it was still outnumbered by the industry, the establishment. Jeff Younger actually ended up running for state representative, and he put that incumbent into a runoff. He just lost that. They outspend is what they do, because people vote for the name that they see. But the establishment runs deep in the state of Texas, and it's both sides of the aisle. And like last year, they had shared parenting on the legislative priority list. They went back to do that this past week, and I think the establishment just regained control of Texas, and we're about to see the consequences of that. Listen, I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I don't. I agree with you, man. I mean, it's just gonna.
I'd hope, but I got to be honest too.
Well, I just, yeah, I know. I agree with you. I mean, that's this one. I just, man, it's messed up. Again, I mean, I'll pull this back up. I mean, this guy is, I mean, I know he's being a rock for himself. Let me see if I can get it where you had him just Tim. Well, that's not a good thing because it's not just his face, but I mean, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how stoic and calm and collected that this man is in the face of this. I mean, I understand that there's nothing. I mean, right, him going over there and pitching a fit would pretty much guarantee that he would have a restraining order on him and never be, and be, ordered to stay away completely. So I mean, his hands are tied. I get that, but anyways, I don't know, man. Is there anything else that you think would be appropriate to talk about on this? I know you have other stuff. I know you were just jumping on for a few minutes. I don't want to monopolize the rest of your time.
No, man. I mean, I appreciate you raising awareness. I think it's just one of those that, as much as everybody wants to get involved and we want to see something happen with this, we're going to have to, even though it's time sensitive, we're going to have some time to sit back and kind of see what unfolds. And, I mean, we just watched for people that are wanting to get justice, we just saw the murder that happened back in October with Chad Reed down there in Lubbock, Texas. I mean, it was on video. He was being murdered on video. It went viral. I don't know if you know it, but the person that killed Chad just got away scot-free.
Oh, I know. You told me. You actually told me a couple of weeks ago.
Scot-free, man.
And
so
they said it was a justifiable shoot.
They said it was a justifiable shooting. We have got to create a presence here. So when these things happen, they know it's not going to go under the radar. So the John Mass case, it is the perfect example for what we're talking about right now, even though it's different. John Mass was murdered last February. We still haven't had a court case. It was supposed to be earlier this year. That case has gotten pushed back 3 times. Then it was supposed to be in March. Then it was supposed to be next month. Now we're being told it's going to be in November. And I think what they do in these cases is they wait for that public pressure to die, because that's when they come in there and they can just do this crap under, the radar and hope that nobody's going to be looking at it. And we as a movement can't allow that to happen. And I'll tell you, in many ways, when they have that strategy, they are right. Because when these cases first happen, everybody is so angry that this is going on right now. And then time starts going by. You start hearing about new cases, and then it just kind of fizzles out.
Overcome by events.
Overcome by events. Because guess what? As bad as David's case is right now, next week there's going to be another one. And so they try to just shove it away. And so when nobody's looking at it, that's when we come in, and they're not going to have the whole uproar anymore. And we just can't allow that to happen. And unfortunately, what that means is having to talk about these bad situations some. And I know that can be a bummer sometimes, but when they don't represent you in the media, you have to become the media. And that's what we're doing here, man. I mean, in this case, think about that. I think about what's going on with David. He's got very little time left. In the case with John, that father's old. I don't think he's ever going to make it out of prison. He could have very little time left with that. And even though there's not going to be full justice for what happened to John, at least there would be some type of closure for that family. But in their eyes, keep pushing it back, get the eyeballs off of it. That's what they do. Yep.
It's, man, I mean, the reality is the causes are I don't know, man. I'm trying to, because I don't want to be super negative, and to be honest, I mean, because it's so easy to get super negative and just let yourself spiral out of control, and that is the worst thing. Like, for instance, if this guy was to do that, it would absolutely ensure that he would not see that the last FaceTime call he got would be the last, and he wouldn't even get that. I mean, and I don't know. I'm just kind of at a loss. I mean, all of this stuff is messed up. I mean, the John Mass case is messed up. This guy's case is messed up. The John Younger case is messed up. Our cases are messed up. I mean, I probably, out of everyone, I probably have the best scenario. But that's just because I was really, well, not because I was lucky, but I happened to approach it, and my times at bat, I guess, so to speak, I was able to connect, and I don't know, man. Oh God,
I know. And I think as stressful as it is for us, because we know what goes on in the courts, for somebody on the outside, here you got 2 people that do shows and talk about this nonstop. And we probably talk about it even more off the phone than we do on the screen. And we are struggling for words to be able to convey that to you. You have people from the outside world that has not been through family court. They come and watch this, and it just can't be reality.
Well, again, it goes back to the comments that you were getting during the thing. It's like, well, wait a minute. What? I mean, okay, why? Why did that happen? Why? Yep. And that, honestly, that is a normal reaction for people, right? It's like, I mean, it's because it's like, no, there's got to be a reason. He must be a scumbag. Dave, this guy right here must have something that's happened that, DV or something, some allegation. But see, the thing is, we're living it right now. Going back to what you're talking about with the Amber Heard thing. I mean, we're living that now to where we see that somebody completely made up horrific stories for their own personal gain. And I think people are still having a hard time comprehending that really happens. That really happens.
There were people that supported Amber Heard.
There's people who still support her. I mean, not a lot. I don't understand how people can do that. I mean, even watching her latest interview thing that she did, just the clips. I don't know. I think the whole thing comes out tomorrow, or unless it came out today. I mean, that's just watching insanity. I mean, that is real life in your face, watching somebody, do word salad and cognitive dissonance, and just I mean, she might as well be walking outside and pointing at the sky and saying, "Oh, the sky's purple." Are you out of your mind? Well, yeah. But I mean, they speak it with such confidence, They
do.
I mean, I saw that clip where she's like, "Oh, what do you?" When the interviewer asked her, "Well, no one, everyone says you were putting on the performance of the lifetime, coming from the attorney for the man who convinced everyone he had scissors for hands."
I saw that.
I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
I saw that.
Anyways. All right, man. I'm gonna wrap this up. I mean, I don't know how long we've been on, but I know you got my computer's doing all kinds of weirdness now. Yeah, we've been on almost an hour. Dude, I appreciate you coming on. I didn't know you were gonna come on. I figured maybe I'd be running and you'd pop in for a little bit, but I appreciate you hanging out with me on this. And is there anything that anybody should know or they can do, or what would you recommend? I mean, is there any what should people do?
I guess I'll say a behind the scenes thing right now. I think the same goes for this on YouTube. It definitely applies to Facebook. With Dad Talk, we're close to 600,000 followers now, but that doesn't mean we reach 600,000 followers. And when these cases come out, they need the exposure. And unfortunately, the media doesn't want to get involved with it until it's already a big thing. Showing up, liking, sharing these broadcasts opens up that algorithm and actually helps it get out to more people. So that might sound like a cliche that you hear on YouTube or Facebook all the time. Like and share the feed. We're not doing this for subscribers, but the more that you do that, when those videos go, the more people it reaches. And let me tell you something, guys, that is just one little simple way that you can help when you got people that are coming in here and dedicating everything they got trying to get these issues out. I mean, we literally are at war. I don't know what else you could call it when you have a father that is at his house right now that has a son that is losing his life
2 miles away. 2 miles away. He could fucking walk over there.
Yep. And so that's the kind of thing we're reporting on. And if we do not organize and get that out there, guess what? Like we talked about, next week there's going to be another one. The week after that, there's going to be another one, and you're just going to continue to see this happening. I was very proud to see the momentum that was going after the Depp case, but obviously, again, because it's not, he was an actor, anything else that's happening is kind of going under the radar. But you know what? Maybe not. I did get contacted by the news. So this Sunday, I will be on NTD News, which is a pretty big news outlet. And for Father's Day, they're wanting to do a special on the corruption in family court, and they called me. So I'll be recording that with them tomorrow. I mean, to have that on a
that's I mean, in this case, it's not enough, but I mean, that's significant. When the hell has that ever happened? Never. I've never heard of that happening. It's
by getting out there and doing what we're doing here, man. Get those conferences, and so we're getting little wins, and you got to celebrate those too. Yeah, I think everybody wishes it's over with overnight, but
so guys, I would say just to dovetail what Eric was saying, and I mean, I don't necessarily push a lot of stuff, but on like this one, I sent out my text notification to try to drive people to you. I shared your thing. When you posted other stuff, I was trying to drive some traffic to it. But Eric is absolutely right. So like if you're on Facebook, go find his interview that he just did or the post and share it to people, because the algorithm, if people, the crazy part about the algorithms, if people start clicking on stuff, the algorithm ultimately wants people to stay. So if they say, "Oh, okay, this thing is happening," it'll start pushing it up. It'll push it up, but it takes that grassroots level or that groundswell of support with comments, likes, shares, so that the algorithm says, "Oh, hey, people are interested in this. I need to put it in front of other eyeballs," and and that does help. And this story needs that help.
35,000 live viewers on the Johnny Depp trial. We should be having that for these guys.
You only had 35? That's horrible. I mean, I'm sorry. That's
no, I'm talking about when we did the Johnny Depp trial. That was it. That was an all-time dad talk record.
Oh, 35,000. 35,000. Okay, I misheard you. Yeah.
We're watching that trial, but yet when we do these cases, because these guys are unknown, it just doesn't feed it. And so the more that you get in there and you interact with it, the more it helps, because our base is there to show it to. They just want to see that the people that they are showing to is interacting, and then they'll show a little bit more. Then they'll show
and see, that's what Eric's talking about. That's what happens, right? The system, they show a subset to it to like they're testing the waters. It's like, okay, these people would normally click. Are they clicking? No, they're not clicking. Okay, no one's interested. We're not going to waste our eyeball time, because here's the thing: what the system is doing is, when they show a thumbnail and a title or whatever, and they automatically and machine, AI type crap, put it out there. If people don't click on it, then they're like, okay, no one cares, and then they just stop showing it. And it's not a human doing it. It's an algorithm that's just trying to and its goal is to keep eyeballs. How do I keep people on my platform? So, anyways, all right, man. Thank you so much, Eric. I appreciate it. Thanks for jumping on.
All right, brother.
Well.